I see, Dino.
Hey guys, so my name is Adrienne Martinez and I'm a second year at UF. So the theme of Jacob Lawrence that I was really interested in was labor, and he had this whole series of paintings and it was called Builders. And so I was thinking, well, how did black students build community at UF? So I looked into the racial history of UF from its desegregation in 1958 to today, and I hope that it opens your eyes to something new. Know that most of this is verbatim, so these are real people's stories. I got to interview students who graduated in the 70s to current students today, and I'm really proud of it, and I hope you like it, so enjoy. Also, We Are the Boys is in it, so if you know it, sing along.
But in all kinds of weather, we really don't all stick together. When I'm at UF, I don't feel like I'm a Florida Gator, but when I leave UF, I feel like I'm a Gator. I think it's because not everybody here knows that the university has problematic roots, and that there's no actual acknowledgement of injustices on our campus, especially when it comes to the history of race.
When I would hear that song at the ball games, I pretty much ignored it. I wasn't the part of the old boys they were talking about.
I graduated in '74, but I never thought of myself as a Gator until 2005. I didn't really feel like a part of the school when I attended UF. It wasn't a welcoming place for black students.
All of my professors were white. Most were racist, treating me like I didn't belong, expecting us not to do well. There were Confederate flags around campus, and I would hear the singing of Dixie when I would walk to my classes sometimes.
Y'all, Dixie originated in the blackface minstrelsy of the 1850s, and it was the national anthem of the Confederate States during the Civil War. It was a common tune among collegiate bands in the South, including our very own Gator Band. It didn't end until 1973 under President Marston.
Hearing that song, the band playing it, spelling it out on the field, white students singing it, it just made me uncomfortable.
My first roommate was white, and when he saw me, he said, "Oh, hell no." Walked out, and I never saw him again. My dorm only had one black student per floor. Being black, you were always under the microscope. You were treated and scrutinized as if you didn't deserve to be here.
There were only 100 seats in the end zone for colored people at Florida Field. Out of those 46,100 seats at the time, there were only 100 seats designated for colored people. That's one black seat for every 461 white seats.
I was probably the only black face you would see in a sea of white students, but I wanted to see the football game.
I tried to go out for U.S. basketball team, but the SEC did not allow African Americans to participate. I was told that the only reason I was at this school was because the university was trying to reach the quota.
The Kappa Alpha House would scare the heck out of me when the Confederate flag would be out there, and they'd be in that Civil War garb and riding horses. The sense that there were these people riding around with a lot of malice towards us, that was very scary.
I remember sometimes late at night, the white students on my floor would have fights and throw their shit all over the bathroom, like their actual shit. And you know who was left to clean that up? The custodians who happened to be black.
One of my professors said, we darker-hued people, we were onlookers. He said we were onlookers in history, not participants. We didn't do anything worth studying. He said that darkness cannot be the subject of history.
Even though I went to one of the best schools in Florida, there was no acknowledgement that African Americans were attached to anything, in any way, to people who had made a positive contribution to the world's civilization. We were just onlookers, right?
UF desegregated in 1958, but there's a big difference between desegregation and integration. Now, I do think UF is a very diverse campus, but it's a matter of the whole idea of diversity versus inclusion. Do I think it's very inclusive? While there's a lot of progress, the University of Florida wasn't originally a space created for students of color.
White privilege is conditioned oppression. The fact that I have to be careful about speaking out about racism because I don't want that person that's oppressing me to feel uncomfortable is oppression. No matter what, I can't get any lower than a black American.
For 15 years of my life, I wanted to be an engineer when I grew up. That dream was killed the second day I was on campus. The white students had 350 or more points above my entrance score, and I got intimidated.
We were basically going up against white students, and we had always been taught that white students were always smarter, better, did hard academics, and the black schools got the secondary academics.
If you were black, you were supposed to know your place, and your place was not to challenge the supremacy status of white.
I wasn't there for the college experience. Extracurriculars, partying, I was there for the academics. I was there because I couldn't let them down, my family, my community. They worked so hard to give me a better life.
In the Gainesville black community, we were supposed to be, or we were seen as, uppity Negroes. It was a lot of pressure trying to live up to everyone else. We had to be successful.
It was an unforgivable sin for me to come here and not do well.
There were only 8 students from my high school that got accepted to UF. That was the first time any group of African Americans had come to UF in a group. We represented the rising youth black elite, and failure would have been an embarrassment to the entire black community.
Some black students never left campus. At the time, Alachua County was really racist. I remember I saw a sign at Depot that said, "Nigga, if you can read, run. If you can't read, run anyway."
Just remembering that jarring feeling of, all right, don't go far. As long as you're on campus, you can handle it.
But in reality, do we have any safe spaces on campus? Absolutely not. It was your dorm room or nothing. There was nothing on campus for us.
Because black students didn't feel welcome at the University of Florida, the Black Student Union was founded in 1968, 10 years after the desegregation of UF, and served as a voice for black students on campus. I didn't know about BSU's history or its existence before I came to UF. I assumed that being black and coming to college, it was like, well, you need to be in the Black Student Union. I've been a member of BSU for the past 3 years now, and I currently serve as the organization's president. Our mission is to create, challenge, and cultivate the future. Before coming to UF, I came from a predominantly white institutional background. Being a part of BSU was probably one of the first times I felt comfortable in my blackness.
When I went to UF, the Black Student Union was in existence, but it was very low-key. We modeled the BSU Constitution after the Black Panthers.
A seismic event the Black Student Union is known for is Black Thursday. Black students weren't happy with the experiences they had at UF, and Black Thursday is when these students came together to advocate for better black experiences.
Our parents paid taxes, and UF is a state-sponsored school, so we basically wanted to be accepted as having rights to our piece of the university's efforts. On April 15th, 1971, at 12:45 p.m., About 50 of us marched straight to President O'Connell's office with a list of demands.
We just wanted 6 things. 6 initiatives to improve the campus climate for black students. Just 6 things.
1. Admit at least 500 black students out of the 2,800 freshman quota each year.
2. Establish a black cultural center.
3. Hire a black administrator in academic affairs and recruit black faculty.
4. Hire a black assistant manager in personnel.
5. Hire black faculty to reflect the ratio of black students.
6. Have fair and equal treatment of black brothers and sisters employed at UF.
Now, April 15, 1971 was not the first time we presented these demands to President O'Connell. We have been trying to get some action out the administration for the past 18 months.
Now, Black Thursday was strategic. Everyone was assigned a task, and no one's task was supposed to cause them their place at the university.
Some 67 of us were arrested or suspended for staging our sit-in. Our amnesty requests were denied. So we held a rally where several of us submitted withdrawal slips in protest.
O'Connell was adamant that he wasn't going to create a black studies department. He wasn't going to set up an African American house or a cultural facility. And any student that kept pushing that, he'd simply be kicked from campus. It became clear that the university wasn't interested in entertaining a black cultural anything.
Over the next few days, black enrollment dropped significantly because more than 100 black students withdrew from the University of Florida.
Maybe it was from the dwindling of black enrollment or from all the protests, but as a coming together moment, O'Connell agreed to have an Institute of Black Culture, and that's how the IBC came to be. Black Thursday is one of the reasons why I very much value the social justice aspect of the Black Student Union, because it has been the forefront of change on this university for all people. How even the progression of black students translates to the progression of all marginalized students. Think of it this way. After the IBC came La Casita, and then the Multicultural and Diversity Affairs came to be, and now all those things are a part of the MCDA. This just goes to show that the progression of a community leads to the progression of other communities.
The Institute of Black Culture was officially dedicated on February 11th, 1972, almost 10 months after we organized Black Thursday.
The IBC was our safe haven. It was one of those places on campus that gave us a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose.
It was our home away from home for us black students moving through the University of Florida.
I used to go to the IBC to hang out when it was open, before its renovation started last summer. I miss it. I miss having the space. I remember that if you would walk in through the door, on the right there's usually a student assistant at the table, and it was actually very small because on the left you would have some high-top tables, and then you had a little sitting area over here with some computers, and in the back there was a kitchen. If you come back through the hallway, there's a living room area where there's a TV, and if you go up there's an upstairs space for students. To me, IBC means progress. It means space. And something I began to think more about is the importance of having space in our life. IBC is pretty much the only space that we had, and the opportunities that it has given us, a place to meet, a place to call home.
We raised hell. We got spanked. And y'all got some buildings. But the struggle is still not done.
Students face similar problems in 2018 that they faced in 1971. From nooses created and left in classrooms, the vandalization of artwork dedicated to highlighting black history, racially charged hate speech written on classroom whiteboards, and even the presence of a white nationalist and supremacist last semester.
It is clear that the University of Florida is still not a safe space for students of color. It goes back to the whole idea of diversity versus inclusion. Diversity doesn't mean a damn thing if all you got is numbers.
We need to not be comfortable in our complacency. We can't be comfortable in our oppression, and we need to be proactive.
In this society, I've noticed that there is no respect for opposite opinion. But in order for diversity and inclusivity to ever work, there has to be some kind of mutual respect.
UF can progress towards inclusivity by acknowledging the social injustices of the past. There are so many barriers that need to be broken that many people don't even realize.
We have all these different folk here who see the world differently, not necessarily better, not necessarily worse. But how can we learn if we don't even listen?
We have to continue fighting the good fight, and we have to be aware that although the structures may look different outwardly, if it's not changing internally, then nothing's really changed since the day of Black Thursday.